Hello, everyone. Welcome to our ConverSights, the next episode of Data Insights podcast. Today, I have one of our internal ConverSights engineering head, Venkat. Venkat was talking to me about a lot of agentic stuff, and while I go talk about analytics and supply chain to customers and various different audience, when I heard about Venkat that how our engineers are using agentic framework to build the agentic conversite platform, I got intrigued and I wanted to hear that story and our audience. I know a lot of software engineers, data analysts, and supply chain leaders. A lot of different audience, but this will be a great episode to understand the future of these products, how quickly we can build these products, and how innovative this can be. So I am very excited to have Venkat. Venkat, thank you for your time today. First of all, maybe let's get quickly do an introduction. Tell about yourself and what you do, and maybe a few lines about ConverSight, what you do, and let's dive into the topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ganesh. Really excited to be here. So, I had engineering at ConverSight, where I'm responsible for building and scaling our end-to-end agentic decision intelligence platform. That's what we call ourselves. My role spans across platform engineering, feature engineering, solutions engineering, DevOps, and quality. Essentially, everything from how data comes into the system to how intelligent decisions are delivered to our customers. So, at a very high level, what we are building is a system that takes raw enterprise data, especially in the supply chain and operations context, and transforms that into intelligent, actionable decisions. So my interaction with data so far is across the entire life cycle,
Mhm.
starting from engineer ingestion, and then into structuring and modeling, building semantic understanding like how we do it in Athena, and enabling systems like Athena to reason and act, the true agent that we envisioned. So and over time, this has evolved, from helping users understand data to now building systems, agentic systems that can actually think, reason, and participate in decision making. So I'm equally excited to be part of this podcast. Let's dive into the topic.
Awesome, awesome. So great to hear from you. So well, obviously, I want to double click more on how you as an engineering leader adapting to agentic and how your team is adapting to the agentic and all that. But before that, let's set some foundation. When you have been in this space of engineering, building software for years, and what is something new for you? What are you concerned about? Or what are you excited about in terms of when you hear about this agentic? Is it an opportunity or like a lot of media telling that wow, we don't have a job anymore?
That's a great question. And honestly, this is where many organizations get it wrong. So there is a tendency to treat AI as something that you can just layer on top of the existing systems, right? But in reality, if you look at it, AI is not just a feature. It is an amplification layer across your entire stack. Ganesh, it's tempting to put the shiny AI engine into the car before you even build the chassis, right? But the truth is, agentic AI is only as good as the data and infrastructure it can reach. If your data is sitting in a siloed on-prem legacy systems, AI agent is essentially a genius trapped in a room with no phone and no access. So by moving into the cloud and modernizing the platforms, right, we created that connective tissue, and that's where we needed that high-speed elastic environment so that we
Yeah.
can when agent triggers a task, the infrastructure responds in milliseconds and not minutes. So without that modernization, without that building block, you aren't building an agent, you are just building a very slow chatbot. So for us, modernization meant getting few fundamentals right. So first, I would like to talk about the scalability, data readiness, and deep
Oh yeah,
integration
I'm
with.
going to get there. Yes. So when you think about agentic AI, just to set the background, right? Obviously with the focus we are working with in supply chain, manufacturing, and all that, and how we are bringing agentic, supply planning, agentic demand planning. It's easy said and done because when you are thinking about having an agent, ConverSight's Athena, can you do a demand forecasting for me and analyze and all that. Just yesterday, and one of our customer success leader was showing that how one of our customer analyzing their historical, last 12 months data with Athena, the agent, and how Athena identified a particular category of product that In Texas, they had excess inventory of like 2000 plus quantities, but in Minneapolis, they had a short of, some 200 quantities. So the agent analyzed the data, the demand projection, the current inventory, and the shortage in one place and excess in another place, and recommending. To me, this is like probably two or three people and over 2 or 3 days getting that done. So for me, agentic AI means things are much faster, automated, and it's thinking, it's doing a lot of that stuff, right? So that is my understanding from a agentic AI from a functional context. That is something what Conversite Athena is doing today. Now, when bring it back in the engineering. So when I think about engineering, or engineering team will code, right? So are you using agentic AI to generate that code or generate the design? Like where agentic AI start and stop and boundary? What's a boundary? What do you need to watch out for if you're using agentic AI in engineering?
So this is honestly one of the most exciting parts of what we are doing today in engineering at ConverSight. When people think of AI engineering, right, they think just about coding. Where we are seeing the biggest impact, in the engineering is it starts from the design, it starts from the system thinking, it starts from the UI and UX evolution, and
Yeah.
also some part in QA and DevOps. We use tools like Lovable and similar AI-driven platforms to visualize the product ideas instantly. We use them to like prototype the UI flows, explore multiple interaction patterns, and even brainstorm architecture. Earlier, what used to take to be a long discussions, multiple iterations on the UI, delayed clarity, has all now become like we can see ideas instantly. For
Mm.
example, when designing a feature, right, instead of writing the specs first, we generate UI flows, visualize the journeys, iterate
Okay.
it live, and then share it with the entire leadership team. So we moved from what should we build to, hey, here are your multiple options. What works best for you? Even if
Cut.
you think in the system designs, right, agents help us like break down problems, generate architecture patterns, simulate edge cases, helps us in testing, helps us in doing that continuous integration with DevOps. So we're not just building with AI, we are actually co-designing and co-thinking with AI. But we actually want to empathize like how our clients will or customers will look into it. Even in engineering, when we develop with our systems like the AI agents, right, we get into a lot of problems of hallucinations, taking it wrong, and that's
Mm.
where we introduce some guardrails within engineering to understand like and go through the entire step, understand what it delivers, and then patch it into our programs. So if you ask me, like, the right amount of expertise in the engineering, adjust with all these AI agents would make our productivity better. We use it in day in and day out, and this has helped our senior engineer not to just concentrate on some daily bug resolving systems, to more architect things, brainstorm a lot of ideas, give options to people to choose what is the best that we can deliver to the customers.
So maybe let's talk about a little bit the preparation or the foundation. I think you were alluding to in the initial section. So when you wanted to move to the agentic AI world and have all your engineers jump in use, was your platform or all the components and infrastructure everything was ready, or you have to do it? Like when I go to our customers and talk about agentic AI, agentic AI will amazingly work well, but you need to have the historical data in one place. You need to have that cloud infrastructure to scale, and it need to run lot of algorithms in
Right.
that very fast fashion. So I would say, like, are you ready? Do you have the data? Is it good quality? Lot of. So to me, there is the foundation, data foundation needed. Same thing in engineering. Give us what is the foundation work you had to do before you jump into this.
So if you ask me that question, right, so I want to like quote back our first interactions that we had back in 2017. I know you and Gopi were asking me to build a system to treat Athena like an agent. I still remember the advertisement that we went through in the earlier stages of 2017 to have Athena as an agent. So the vision was there. This journey was actually started in 2017. So when we introduced Athena as an agent, back then the vision was there, but the tech wasn't mature. The infra wasn't ready, the customers weren't ready to
Yeah.
take into the system and then work on it. So if you ask me, like, we didn't just jump into agentic AI, we grew into it, right? So what are the architecture bottlenecks that we see, like when we move from a traditional system into an agentic system? First is the scalability constraints. Earlier systems were not built for concurrent AI workloads, right? They used to do a lot of large context processing. It was not built for that. There was no dynamic workflows that we were building. So we moved from an horizontally scalable systems, distributed services, container orchestration, right? We moved to the scalable systems first. So that was our first aim. The second one is about the data fragmentation. We had a lot of inconsistencies across the schemas, the sources, the models of the data, because we source data from like 130 plus sources, and
Yeah,
we are ingesting both structured and unstructured data into the platform. A lot of inconsistencies about creating the semantic layer on top of it. So we introduced a standardized data model with the help of agents, and then we came up with a strong semantic layer, what do we call as our knowledge base. So this particular version, what we're working right now, has developed a strong semantic layer on top of whatever we built. The third one
got
is
it.
about the AI integration limitations. So earlier, like the whole AI agentic platform was new to us. So AI was treated as an external add-on. Like when we started back in
Okay.
2013 or 20,
Hmm.
during that time, it was just an external add-on. But now, moving from AWS to GCP, right, we embedded into the system with integration into the Gemini and the native AI services that Google provide. We reduce the friction, right? We improve the responsiveness of the AI systems. We enable tighter system AI coupling, as I would call. And the last one to talk about is the workflow rigidity. So the traditional systems were very rigid. If you have to like change something, we have to touch in a lot of places, and then it was not ready for executional AI as such. So agentic AI systems as such needed the flexibility, the flow of context, the event-driven executions at a larger scale. So we redesigned everything to have asynchronous workflows, right? And the
Hmm.
construct propagation, modular execution. So overall, if you ask me, we didn't just optimize systems; we redesigned them entirely to be AI ready by design. So that's how like we moved from the traditional system to an agentic ready system, Ganesh.
So you had to take a large foundational shift from cloud migration. You said AWS to GCP, and so you can leverage few more, the AI services, LLM, and other things, and then the data engineering, semantically how you are storing, a lot of that. So because is it for a better performance or is it reusability? If you generalize that, why I have to do it one, two, three? What would that? Is it a cost?
So it's largely the strategic shift,
Mm.
Asia. So we wanted to make the system more scalable, more ready to like use for agentic workflows. That's how like we wanted to do. Like we wanted to do a rapid prototyping, instant feedback. See, honestly, if it is the middling work. Historically, the biggest lag isn't writing the first 10% or the last 10% of the code. It is the 80% in the middle, right? The
Mm.
boilerplate, the unit test, and the documentation. So when we moved from AWS to GCP, we wanted to like focus most of the things. Use the architect. It's not just a cloud movement. It is also the architectural decisions that we made
Okay.
when we want to
Mm.
move to GCP. So GCP was providing a lot of options for us to like use their infrastructure with the AI coupled systems. So that helped us to like deploy our systems in a very fast manner, write orchestrated workflows. It is like speed combined with the cost effectiveness. That was the decision that we made to like move into the GCP.
So now that you have built that foundation, and then you are leveraging agentic AI to build ConverSight's agentic AI solutions, Athena and other solutions within that. Now, let's shift a little bit to the talent part. Now, when I go to our customers, the customers are used to do things in one way, right? Say, I was with a company last week, $100 million company, and including leadership, everybody, lot of work is done on a spreadsheet. Very common, right? From there, shifting a company doing a lot of manual work, a lot of Excel, a lot of one-off reports to moving them to an agentic AI system. It's not a lot about training anymore. It's about the mind shift, right? Why, right? When I still remember 2019, 20 when we were pitching in that, like, oh, why do I need Athena? Like, I have Mike. Mike is getting me all this data insights. Why do I need Athena? Now you are seeing, like, I'm seeing the same company who challenges. Wow, like it's why do I need another employee? Rather, I just want to ask, right? So there is a mind shift from a talent perspective within the company. I see that
Hmm.
in manufacturing companies, in distribution companies, in the CFO's mind, in the CEO's mind, supply chain leaders' mind. It is slow, but it's happening rapidly in the last 1 year, especially after they see what is happening with the chat GPT and all the other things. They see a new possibility. We don't need to really wait for days and months for something to be done by somebody. Rather, I can ask the agent like Athena to build it for me, right? So it took years, but the moment they get it, they want everything to be agentic now. I see that. Now, when you think about technical people, I see in your tagline, code won't deliver. So I see that pride in you want to code, but isn't it agentic AI? You don't need to code anymore. Like, can I say that? I don't know whether you still
No,
need to code. So
that's
talk
correct.
about talent shift.
Correct. Yeah. So I think this is one of the most important shift that is happening right now. There is a lot of discussion around AI replacing engineers, right? But what we are actually seeing is AI is not replacing engineers, but AI is elevating engineers. So earlier, engineering was heavily focused on execution, writing code, debugging, implementing features, right? A significant portion of time went into what we call it as a cognitive plumbing, okay? Repetitive coding, boilerplating, debugging, testing, operational overhead. Now, with all these agentic AI handling, a lot of this, the layer is getting abstracted away. So, what changes, if you ask me? The role shifts from a pure executor mode where the developers come and develop something and deliver to more an architecture and a decision maker role. Today, the best engineers are not the ones who write most of the code. They are the
Hmm.
ones who frame the problems, frame the right problems, design the scalable systems, guide intelligent workflows, and then make the right trade-offs between the designs. So in our team, we are seeing this very clearly. Senior engineers are now spending more time on the system architecture, designing agent workflows, defining interaction patterns, improvising the already built system to have more event-driven interfaces, thinking about scale and resilience in the platform, high availability, and all of this stuff, rather than spending most of their time into fixing like one or two lines, as I would like mentioned you earlier. And interestingly, if you look at this, the execution hasn't slowed down; it actually like improved because
Okay.
the designs are more clearer now. In testing, the edge cases were identified very early. The testing is stronger. The deployments are smoother. Like in fact, like I had one of the fewer conversations with our CTO Gopi earlier. So Gopi was mentioning like we need to not to hire more employees, then treat Claude and treat Lovable as your engineering interns. So now like the shift is not just faster development, I would say it's better thinking and the sharper execution. So if I have to summarize it in one line, we didn't make the engineers faster, we made them think at a very higher level. And going forward, I believe the best engineers would be the problem framers, the system thinkers, and definitely the AI collaborators, and not just coders.
So you still need to own the code, but you are not writing it. You're generating it in a way.
So but we need to be in that level to understand what is developed, to actually like understand what A has given us, and then see if there is anything that would help us in getting things better. So we cannot just use the same code which is exactly delivered by AI into our production readiness. We need that intelligence to go through the code, identify like what works best, and then basically brainstorm with the AI even to generate the code. That's what I would.
I also see that in within ConverSight and outside, when I saw lot of people, like, so we have a UX designer, and then the UI person, then the data engineer, like tester, like, so we had lot of roles, right? Different roles. Do you see this because of the agentic AI and leveraging all these different agentic AI techniques? Do you see there is a collision of these roles? And then is it, do you really need 10 roles, rather can you manage with 5 roles? I'm not talking about the headcount reduction, but more from skill gap, like, are you seeing an all-rounder in them?
Correct. Correct. That's one of the interesting facts that I see in the workforce right now. Like, earlier the designers used to just design things. Okay, they were not worried about how this will get into coding, what are the issues that they'll see in coding to have this design delivered. And the coders are like more into like coding things. Even if they want simple icons design, they would like get back to the engineer. Now I see a collaboration happening between where the designers are actually elevated to be first level coders, where they don't just design things, they use agentic AI systems to actually see it in live, how this will reflect in real time with real time data plugged in. And the developers, they don't depend on designers for everything. Basically, if there is a small change, like if you want to redesign a button, if you want to like move the menu into a different place, if you want to have a pop-up design, they take use of these AI systems to actually develop on their own. So they're actually like, even though they are exploring other territories, it is empowering them to be more creative, more productive in that matter. So definitely there's not a headcount reduction as such, but then the productivity increases a lot.
Got
Like one getting into the others, even with the collaboration between the dev and testing, right? Earlier, like the dev team has to entirely depend on the testing team for all the tests. Now the integration takes testing happens at the developer level, where they use systems to generate test cases. Earlier they used to depend on the testing team to deliver them
it.
the test cases. Now it's like completely not necessary. Like the developers themselves create the test cases, run it against their features, and then they make the work easier for the testers to test it, like spend more on the functional testing, the load testing, and other stuff. So I would
Yeah,
say
let
there is a clear
me
exchange of work.
so let me ask you one final question on the talent, and then we'll go to benefits, little bit benefits, right? So talent, when you now think about hiring someone new, what are the skills you are looking for? I'm asking in two ways. Like, someone is finishing their engineering in the college now or just getting into that journey, what skills companies like you, Conversight, will look for? What talent they should, bring it in?
So definitely, I would say they should be very strong with their fundamentals. So whatever the systems that we use, it all like breaks down into how strong are they with their fundamentals. So that is one non-negotiable.
So when you say foundation, is it coding?
It is about everything, right? It is about knowing a data structure, how the system works, the network basics. Because without that, even with AI agents, you'll not be like, as I said, the AI is as powerful as you are. Like if you know your
Okay.
basics right, you can ask the right questions, you can understand what the AI delivers, right? So the foundation is a non-negotiable taint that I would always look in for an fresher. And also, like, how much are they interested in learning new technologies? Another fact that we always
Hmm.
like have as an yard scale for recruiting engineers at ConverSight. Because if you look at the ConverSight journey, we have evolved from the traditional, agentic systems to most advanced agentic systems. In fact, we saw this vision like back in 2017, and now we are moving towards a fully agentic platform, as I would call. So now we want to have that, the inquisitiveness of learning new things,
Okay.
going across multiple blocks, technical blocks, and understand what they are. For an developer, for an lateral entry kind of an recruit, I always wanted these guys who would have worked in a large data engineering setup, with at least like one or two AI tools used. So basically it is the mindset that we always look into, in addition to the coding and other
Correct.
skills.
So know your foundation well and be ready for learning new things.
Correct.
Okay, right. I think that's a good summary on the talent. Let's go to benefits, right? Okay, so I know you are using a lot of agentic AI to build Conversite's agentic AI solutions. Now, what's the benefit? Are you delivering faster, better, quality wise? Is it cheaper? Like, how do you classify the benefits for for the our investors, our stakeholders, and our customers? How do they perceive or see the value?
So it is a combination of all, right?
Hmm.
Things have become a lot cheaper in terms of resource spend. Okay, so now like what used to take like 3 or 4 weeks for a feature to be developed, now we do it in like 3 to 4 days, at least the
Hmm.
first version of it. So that way, like it actually like, gets better in the resource wise. Also, I see a lot of strategic shift in the workforce. See, when they are interacting with AI, they actually gain a lot of knowledge in identifying debugging the errors in the code, that they don't repeat it afterwards. Earlier, like what took us very long time to debug features, all like it's taking very short time, and AI is also giving a lot of information around it. It is not like fixing your problem, right? It is giving you a
Yeah.
lot of intent around that, so that you get to know like where did I go wrong. That's a question that you would always ask, right, when you do a mistake. So where did I go wrong, how I can improve these. So in that
The
way,
quality will get better now.
correct. Our engineers are getting smarter with this agentic AI tools. So it is both cheaper. The productivity is actually multifolded. Like we invest a lot of things that would take like 6 months. We are seeing it like live in like 2 or 3 months. Obviously, there are like iterations that would go on, but at least the first version is like with you with within months. So you are developing faster. You are going cheaper, and also you are actually increasing your knowledge with the workforce. So it is multifolded.
So, from a customer's perspective, so features, so when you think about your roadmap for, say, 2026 roadmap, you think you are able to add a lot more, which are way more deeper use cases, which you wouldn't have thought about even touching it today? Like, is it opening up a lot more avenues and possibilities in your product roadmaps?
Obviously, yes. So we talked about converting ConverSight, moving towards a completely agentic platform, right? So we have developed many of the apps that would help the customers, right? The demand forecasting, supply chain, and all. But now we are thinking like, why the customer needs to worry about going and clicking all of this, and then getting into a to know like what I wanted. Do I need to have like 10 clicks to get that idea? Okay.
Mm,
Now we are thinking towards how we can bring the agentic flavor to it, so that I just come like it's like hire Athena as your agent. Like you go and ask Athena, what do I like need to do for this, and then it gives you a lot of options with various informations to make you the decision. Definitely we are moving towards like from a static supply planner app to an agentic supply planner app, static demand forecasting app to an when I say static, it means like it's all clicks and the older dashboards, but we are moving towards an agentic demand forecasting app where it just not only executes what you wanted, it also gives you options to think farther beyond what you have like been hiding in the way. So in that way, like we are actually spending a lot of time on improvising all the features that we also had, also adding some of the new system that would help our customers to do their work faster. So many of the customers have praised us for all these solutions we delivered, but we wanted to make those solutions very quick and very convenient for them to use at one
yes.
click. That is where the goal of Conversate is. So that is where we are spending a lot of time.
Awesome. So it brings you that the speed and also the agility, right? Both
Correct.
at the
Correct.
same time. So that is great. So in a nutshell, I think it's a great conversation. So you got a foundation right. So that's my takeaway. I think you can't just go engineers from tomorrow we are doing agentic. No, rather you want to work on the foundation, be it from cloud to all the data engineering, all that. So you got the foundation right. Then you are cross training or making your engineering team ready, and also hiring either from the college or from a lateral with that skill that they need to have the foundation right, and they need to be good or open to learn new things, and then you are able to bring that speed and agility in your product roadmap. So this is an exciting thing, and I don't know what, with the speed the engineering teams are working today with ConverSight and others, what will you be doing in your roadmap in 2027, right? So I can't even imagine and what is out there, right?
There's more
So
to come.
great. So I'm very excited to see the overall how that engineering teams are taking that advantage. And as you said, it's not just about new ideas, it's about quality, it's about speed, quality, and ability to it.
Correct.
So this is awesome. So I am excited, and thank you for your time, Venkat, in today's meeting. And I'm looking forward to have you back maybe in another year and tell us what worked, what did not work from agentic AI, applying agentic AI within your engineering team to build agentic AI solutions like the demand planning, like the supply assurance, AI, a lot of that stuff. So thank you. Have a great day. Thank you all.
So our strength is like we want the entire stack, right? Because we did
Yes.
the hard work of modernization. Our agents are deeply integrated into the data layer. A wrapper can just talk about the data, but the agentic platform that we build will actually act on the data, right? That's a huge distinction that we make. So you cannot just copy paste the years of infrastructure work and the basic foundation work that we did. So we didn't just add AI to Conversight, we rebuilt the entire foundation so AI can could live inside it. So with
Obviously,
that,
Conversate started as Agentic AI
correct,
anyway. to start with.
correct, right, yeah. So with that note, I mean, thank you very much for inviting me for this wonderful podcast, and you will see a lot of new features coming from engineering. I'm equally excited as our customers and investors are. So thank you once again, and this was a wonderful podcast to be in, Ganesh. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, have a nice day. Bye bye. Take care.